To do Jeny's surprisingly stretchy bind off turbo version, first you're going to slip the first stitch purlwise. Next, this is a purl stitch coming up, so you're going to do a regular yarn over, just like the regular Jeny surprisingly stretchy bind off, and now you're going to bring the yarn to the front and down. Next, you're going to insert the right hand needle into the first stitch on the left hand needle and insert the left hand needle into the stitches on the right hand needle. Now keep this right hand needle in front like that, all right? And you're going to purl those 3 stitches together. I'm doing Continental style, but I will show you American style afterward. So you're going to purl those 3 stitches together. The next stitch is a knit stitch. So just like the regular Jeny's surprisingly stretchy bind off, you're going to do a reverse yarn over. And I'll do this a little bit slower and then I'll speed it up for you again, but these are the basic steps. Reverse yarn over. Now you're going to slip the next stitch knitwise. And then you're going to insert the left hand needle into the 3 stitches on the right hand needle, and you're going to knit those stitches together. So those are the 2 movements for the binding off a purl stitch and binding off a knit stitch. So we're just going to repeat that. Next stitch is a purl stitch. We do a regular yarn over. Now bring the yarn down and in front, okay, or in front and down. Now insert the right hand needle into the first stitch on the left hand needle and the left hand needle into the next 2 stitches on the right hand needle. Oops. Like that. The right hand needle stays in front so that you can then purl those 3 stitches together. The next stitch is a knit stitch, so do a reverse yarn over. Now we're going to insert the right hand needle and slip the next stitch knitwise, and then insert the left hand needle in the next 3 stitches on the right hand needle, and knit those stitches together. I'm going to try that one more time. The next stitch is a purl. So I just want to show you how we can get going a little bit so that you can see why this is actually the turbo version, of course, because breaking it down like this, it goes a lot slower. So next stitch is a purl, so we do a regular yarn over, bring the yarn to the front and down, insert the needles into those 3 stitches and purl them together. Next stitch is a knit, so we reverse yarn over, slip 1, knitwise, and then knit those 3 together. Next stitch is a purl, regular yarn over, bring the yarn in front and down, insert the right hand needle in the first stitch on the left hand needle, keep that right hand needle in front, that's the secret to not getting confused, and purl those 3 stitches together. So once you get the hang of it, this is a faster version of Jeny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. We do a regular yarn over, bring the yarn to the front and down, insert the right hand needle in the first stitch on the left hand needle goes into the 2 stitches on the right hand needle needs to be in front, then we purl them together. Next stitch is a knit, we reverse yarn over, slip the next stitch knitwise, insert the left needle in the next 3 stitches on the right hand needle, and knit them together. Next stitch is a purl, do a regular yarn over, yarn comes in front and down, out of the way, right needle goes in the left stitch, left needle goes in the right stitches, but make sure to keep that left needle in the back, and purl those together. One last time. We got a knit stitch coming up, so we do a reverse yarn over, slip 1 knitwise. You can scrunch those up on your stitches to get the left hand needle into the right hand stitches, knit those together. And then we have a purl stitch coming up, so we do a regular yarn over, yarn comes to the front and down, insert the right hand needle in the left hand stitch and the left hand needle in the right hand stitches, and purl together. So once you get a rhythm going, you may find that you prefer this to the original Jeny's surprisingly stretchy bind off, and you may also find that it looks a little tidier, as Jeny says. It's just a little neater up on top. It's equally as stretchy, and you don't have to do any of the lifting the stitches over each other as you bind off. So it's basically like a knitted and purled version of the Jeny surprisingly stretchy bind off. So when you do, when you have 2x2 rib, it's going to be the same. Exactly. Basically, just look at each stitch before you get to it, right? The purl stitches have like this little, like they're wearing a little pearl necklace. They're wearing a necklace. That's how you can remember that it's a purl. All right. And the knit stitches go straight down into the next stitch, like as if it's a V-neck sweater. So if you have a purl stitch coming up, you're going to do a regular yarn over. If you have a knit stitch coming up, you're going to do a reverse yarn over. So then you just do a reverse yarn over for that one. So you just do it twice, the movement twice for each purl stitch. And again, you'll do it twice for the knit stitches, and it's going to come out the same way. And now I'm going to show you American style. To do Jeny's surprisingly stretchy bind off turbo version American style, first slip the first stitch. Now, looking at the next stitch, it's a purl stitch. So move your yarn to the front as you would just for purling. And now we're going to do a yarn over. So bring the yarn around the needle and back to the front. Next, insert the right hand needle into the first stitch on the left hand needle and keep that right hand needle in front. Now take the left hand needle and insert it into the 2 stitches on the right hand needle and keep that left hand needle in the back. Now purl those 3 stitches together. And move the yarn to the back. The next stitch is a knit stitch, so we're going to do a reverse yarn over. So instead of bringing the yarn between the needle tips, we're going to go around the outside of the needle and back through the needle tips to the back. Next, you're going to slip the first stitch on the left hand needle knitwise, and then you're going to take the left hand needle and insert it into all 3 stitches on the right hand needle and keep the left hand needle in front. Okay, right hand needle stays in the back, and you're going to knit those 3 stitches together. That's it. Those are the 2 movements. So now we're just going to repeat that, okay? So bring the yarn to the front because the next stitch is a purl. This is knit 1, purl 1 rib, all right? And we're going to do a regular yarn over, so just around the needle and back to the front. We're going to insert the right hand needle into the stitch on the left hand needle, keeping the right hand needle in front, and the left hand needle into the 2 stitches on the right hand needle, keeping the left hand needle in back. And purl those 3 stitches together. Now move the yarn to the back. Now we have a knit stitch coming up, so we're going to go do a reverse yarn over. Take the yarn to the outside of the needle and back through the needle tips to the back. Insert the left hand needle into the first stitch on the right hand needle knitwise and slip it. And then take the left hand needle, you can scrunch these stitches up onto the tip of the right hand needle. Take your left hand needle and insert it into all 3 stitches on the right hand needle and keep the left hand needle in front. And knit those 3 stitches together. Now bring the yarn to the front because we have a purl stitch coming up. And this time we're going to do a regular yarn over, so yarn comes around the back of the needle and towards you. Insert the right hand needle into the first stitch on the left hand needle, keep the right hand needle in front, and the left hand needle goes into the 2 stitches on the right hand needle and keep the left hand needle in the back and purl those 3 stitches together. So this is just basically 2 movements instead of 3 that you would normally do for Jeny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. All right, just continue those movements depending on if you have a knit stitch coming up or a purl stitch. And if you're going to do 2 by 2 rib, you're just going to repeat the movements, the knit one for the knit stitch and another one for the knit stitch. And you can do, so you can actually do 2 by 3 rib, 1 by 5 rib, whatever you want. Just repeat the movement 1 stitch at a time depending on what stitch you have on the left hand needle.